G'day there guys, it's Aussie Man Markee here and welcome back to another episode of r/EntitledPeople. Now if you enjoyed today's content, I want you to sit back, relax, chuck a prawn on the barbie and tell me what you think of it down below in the comments. Posted by user BillowL. Titled, Entitled Guy tells me to shut up because I'm a female. So we had organised a board games night with some friends. I knew less than half of the people who were there, but it was a chill mood. We all got something to eat and drink. After the meal, we started playing a game in which trading is a very important part. The game is called Catan. As we were too many to play, we made teams of 2, and my team was made of the only females present that day, me and my friend. We started playing, and the entitled guy's team is really slow to play, which annoys everyone. We start putting timers so they don't spend more than 7 minutes playing their turn, but they just ignore when the time is up. I start telling them to hurry and that it makes the game no fun, but of course they don't listen. I still think it annoyed them a bit. We keep playing like that until my team starts being ahead and starts winning the game. Then comes the trading part of the entitled guy's team, and the 2 other teams start trading. I say that I'll accept the trade, which the other team didn't want to, and the entitled guy's team was trying to convince the other team, and he tells me to shut up because the men are talking. He then used this sentence every time I was trying to trade, as he saw that I found it really disrespectful. He then proceeded to lose the game, and I proceeded to win it. Posted by user DuckTapeCat. Titled, Entitled Kid Rips Turban Off of Sikh Friend, Gets Expelled. So, if you didn't know, in the Sikh religion, men wear turbans because they grow their hair throughout their entire life, and hair is considered sacred. Turbans are used to protect their hair, and it holds a symbolic value. Well, my friend, who we'll call H, is just a normal kid. He doesn't have an Indian accent or anything. He grew up in Canada, so he had the English-American accent. During middle school, he liked Yu-Gi-Oh!, and he is an amazing artist. This, though, occurred during elementary, K to grade 5. So there is this kid who we'll call Jason. Jason is an absolute issue. He would complain when we played Manhunt. If we tagged, he would say, "Ow, my leg hurts! I can't be the tagger!" Well, during lunch, he decided it would be funny to pull at my friend's H's turban. When he pulled it, everything went loose. Instead of people laughing with him, we were all in shock. My friend was in tears, so a teacher hurriedly brought him into the school to help put it back together. However, Jason was in super big trouble. He was sent to the principal's office and had either an in-school suspension or was expelled. Either way, H got proper justice. Posted by user MammyJam. Titled, The Metric System Doesn't Care About Your Entitlement. So this was a few years ago when me and my wife, both Mancunian, were doing a mini-world tour as a part of our honeymoon. We were in Iceland and had been really disappointed to find out that the Blue Lagoon is man-made and is basically just a large outdoor swimming pool or water runoff from the geothermal plant. So after some light googling, found a place about an hour-and-a-half drive from Reykjavik called the Secret Lagoon. The place is amazing and exactly what I expected from a natural hot spring. Basically, a large pond pouring with steam, a river running next to it also pouring with steam, and then a load of smaller bubbling pools of water and mini geysers that would blast water into the air every 10 minutes or so. The place is on somebody's land, and they've built a changing room and shower area and charge about £12 to get in. Between the pond and the river, there is a roped-off area of small, deep pools that has a sign saying, "Warning, water is over 90 degrees. Do not enter at your own risk," which is probably a bad translation of no entry, we accept no liability. Anyway, me and my wife were leaning against the side of the pond closest to this and noticed a guy wander up, read the sign, and then step over the rope. As he's walking up to one of the small pools, the lifeguard is running over and shouting, "Stop! Stop! You can't go in there!" Then American accent replies, "Whatever, buddy, I can do whatever I want." By this time, the lifeguard has reached him and tries to explain to him that the water is between 90 and 110 degrees, and that he walked right past a "do not enter" sign, to which the American responds, "No, it says enter at your own risk, so I am, and it's not very risky. It's hotter than 90 degrees in Nevada every day." This utterly perplexes the lifeguard, who has absolutely no idea what the hell the American is talking about. So I shout over, "Oi mate, it's Celsius, not Fahrenheit." Now the American looks confused and says, "I don't know what that is. I'm going in." For reference, 90 to 110 degrees Celsius is 194 to 230 degrees Fahrenheit. Then follows about 5 minutes of arguing between the American and the lifeguard before the American obviously thinks, F this, takes 2 steps further to the pool and goes to put his foot in. Fortunately for him, but unfortunately for Darwinism, he only manages to dip a toe in before screaming in pain and hopping back to the changing room in a huff. The lifeguard sighs and goes back to his chair. What a fudging divvy. Posted by user OrchidWolf99. Titled, "Entitled person wants to put down all pit bulls and tells a young pregnant girl to get an abortion or enjoy being homeless." After a run-in with this user myself, I decided to dig a little deeper, and oh boy do they make my blood boil. This particular user is a moderator on multiple subreddits to do with receiving funds, but I really don't think they should be. First was a post of a young girl who had recently found out she was pregnant and had been disowned by her family because of it. She reached out to the internet for help and posted her crowdfunding onto one of the subreddits that this user moderated. The user commented by telling her to get an abortion if she's not in a good place to raise a child. Now, I agree that it's unfair to bring a child into the world if you're not ready to look after it, but this young woman was already pregnant and decided to keep the baby when her family had disowned her. I can't imagine the damage that an attack to her mental health that a comment like that could do. When the girl replied to the user saying she wanted to keep her baby, the user replied by saying, "Well, good luck being poor and homeless." Another person had posted about their loving pit bull that needed a new home for whatever reason, and this user called it a scam because pit bulls are not living animals and should be banned and put down. Even claimed the post needed to be removed because of the red flags, because they gave positive traits that couldn't be true of a pit bull? The cruelty to an innocent animal just because of its breed particularly got to me, as my personal encounter with them was regarding a crowdfunder for my emotional support animal. They told me to give him away because they were a pet owner themselves, and as my pet was just a rabbit, I couldn't really be that attached to it because it's just a rabbit. Jesus! I explained that I was very much attached to him. I have panic attacks if I leave home without him, and I'm only asking for the help, as during the beginning of the pandemic, I had donated over £2,000 of my savings to people in need, not knowing that I would come to need that money now, but they continued with their insensitive comments. There is plenty more stories of them attacking people in the comments of fundraising requests that clearly follow community guidelines for the subreddits they moderate, as well as plenty of posts they've removed under false pretenses. How do people like that become moderators? I was always taught if you have nothing nice to say, don't say it. No need to attack people asking for help. If you don't want to donate, then just keep scrolling. People will understand. I do hope that young mother-to-be is okay though. I donated a small amount to her to apologize for her having to deal with someone saying things like that. Posted by user Colby Road Tech, titled, "Karen Gets Arrested by Native Cop." Disclaimer, I'm not First Nations, I'm very Caucasian. This will make sense later on. So I work at a marina on a native reserve. The kind of marina that has a pump for boats and cars, and it's full service, meaning we go out and pump gas for the customers. We're in the same plaza as a restaurant, a tobacco shop, and a cannabis store, all on First Nations land, and owned by the reserve. Super easy-going place. The management takes such good care of their employees. Like, I couldn't ask for a better job. Yesterday, me and a coworker were going back and forth from lakeside pump to roadside pump. We were packed since it was Saturday of the Canadian Thanksgiving weekend, and everyone was going out on their boat or going to their cottage on the reserve one last time before winter. On busy weekends like these, we have a police officer on the plaza to make sure that people don't do stupid crap. Because of the pandemic, the reserve is only open to residents and people who own property on the reserve. People constantly try to sneak onto the reserve or park in the private marina parking lots, and that's why the police officer is here, to keep the idiot tourists at bay. We'll call the cop NC, Native Cop. NC is a super great guy. As someone who's not fond of police myself, I can vouch that this guy is one of the good ones. So, during a big rush of customers, entitled Karen pulls up. So, quick backstory. According to my boss, entitled Karen came to the pot shop every other day and would always complain about bad product or some BS like that. So when she pulls up, instead of telling me she's getting gas, she just walks away. I call back asking if she's getting gas, and the conversation goes along the lines of, "Excuse me, ma'am? Sorry, are you getting gas?" "No." And she continues to walk off. Meanwhile, there is a line of cars behind her. I say, "I'm sorry, but if that's the case, you're gonna have to move your car. We have other people waiting for gas." Entitled Karen continues to walk off towards the other side of the plaza. At this point, NC sees what's going on and goes to talk to her. I see a wave of realization wash over NC's face as he stops her. Their conversation is out of earshot, but I heard something along the lines of, "How am I supposed to know? I know my rights," from entitled Karen, and, "Ma'am, you're banned from these premises," from NC. They move back to the car. Meanwhile, I'm trying to calm down people in line who are all pissed off that this car is in the way. NC says, "Ma'am, for the last time, you are banned from the premises for 30 days. That was 9 days ago, and you still have 3 weeks until you're allowed on First Nations land." And she says, "But I wasn't on plaza property yet. I'm just at the gas shack. What right do you have to talk to me that way?" From that tree to that tree is also native land and thus plaza property. He gestures to 2 trees on either side of the asphalt lot. "I'm going to have to ask you to leave." "What, so now an Indian can arrest a white woman? Am I right, man?" as she gestures towards me. I, obviously taken aback, say nothing. "Traitor," she mumbles. "You don't understand how they treated me back there." NC says, "For the last time, you've been banned from the entirety of the plaza. You can come back in 3 weeks, but you have to leave the premises immediately." "But you're not even a real cop. You don't have any authority on me. Get off your power trip, Indian." "I assure you, ma'am, that I am a part of the Reserve's police department, and if need be, I have full authority to arrest you as any other police officer would." "Oh yeah, sure, buddy. I'm suing the plaza, and I'm getting you all fired." And she gestures to me too, who up to this point was back inside with a guy paying for his boat's gas and snacks. NC says, "That's fine, ma'am, but if you don't leave, I will have to arrest you. And if you come back within the next 3 weeks, you will also be arrested." Realizing he called her bluff, she huffs, sits back in her car, and mumbles something like, "Effing Redskins," and drives off. And that's the end of the story for today. The next day, the day as I'm writing this, it's dead slow. I mean, I've been watching Netflix all shift. Until I see my coworker walking over from the parking lot to start his shift. Behind him, I see entitled Karen being put up against a car screaming as NC cuffs her. It's just barely out of earshot, but I see NC say what I'm assuming is the whole, "You have the right to remain silent, blah blah blah." As this is happening, I can hear entitled Karen yelling, "What, so I'm getting arrested by an Indian cop? What a load of crap. I'm getting you fired. I'll fudging sue everyone." And NC pulls her over to the side of the parking lot, where I'm assuming the car was parked. It was far enough away that I couldn't see it behind the other cars, but could still hear EK yelling obscenities. NC filled me in on the details later, saying that she came back wanting to videotape the pot shop and all the health hazards, bad product, and health and safety issues there. Mind you, the process to open a cannabis store is meticulous. They won't let you open if anything is short of perfect, from what I understand. This store hasn't even been open for a year, and all the equipment and everything is brand new. So NC gets wind of this and came back to arrest her. As he restrains her, she starts dialing 911. I repeat, she calls the cops on the cops. Her justification? He's an Indian cop, not a real cop. So NC has to talk to the other police departments, then clear things up with them. Meanwhile, EK is screaming in the background. They later released her and are extending the ban indefinitely. Me and my coworker are laughing our butts off, as this is going to be a fun story to tell at a Thanksgiving dinner. Posted by user Sada Bassist. Titled, "My entitled mother was afraid of doctors, and I nearly died from a muscle cramp." My mother, the entitled mother of our tale, grew up in a household that didn't believe in doctors or going to the hospital. This translated to an irrational fear of hospitals for my entitled mother. At the time of this story, I was 14, in high school, and about to have a very bad day. I should start by saying that my entitled mother lives exactly 1 mile away from the closest emergency room. Also, my siblings and father were out of town for a competition that weekend. I didn't feel like going to another cheerleading competition, so I stayed home. I get home from school on a Friday at around 4 p.m. and call entitled mother to tell her that I don't feel good and think that I need to see a doctor. Entitled mother says that she has a 1-hour workout with her personal trainer, who happens to train the whole family for our sports teams. Entitled mother tells me that she will come home right after and take me to the pediatrician. 4:40 p.m., I call entitled mother saying that something is seriously wrong with me and I really think I need to go to the hospital. She tells me that PT just had a cancellation and she's staying for another hour workout, then she will take me to the doctor. 5:10 p.m., I call entitled mother and beg her to come home because I'm in a lot of pain and feel terrible. She gives the phone over to PT, who says, I crap you not. It sounds like a muscle cramp from our workout last week. You'll be fine, buddy. She then says she'll call our friendly neighbor, FN, across the street to check on me. 10 minutes later, I hear FN walk through the door and come to my room to check me out. I'm on the floor because I fell after going to the bathroom and couldn't get up. She helps me into the bed and immediately calls entitled mother. The convo goes something like this. Hey, entitled mother, I think you need to get here ASAP. Your son is as white as a sheet and sweating bullets. Also, he's in so much pain he can barely move. Oh, I'm sure he's fine. Probably just overreacting from a muscle cramp like the PT says. Mate, this isn't just a muscle cramp. He needs to see a doctor. I can put him in my car and meet you at the hospital ER that's only 1 mile away. Oh, no need for that. I'll finish up here and head home to take him to the doctor. Click. 5:45 p.m. Friendly neighbor calls entitled mother again, and entitled mother says that she's in the changing room, then will be home in 10 minutes. The gym is pretty close. 6:20 p.m. Entitled mother finally gets home. FN tells her what I've been going through and says that I need to go to the emergency room. Entitled mother says she's taking me to see our pediatrician. Entitled mother does take me to see our pediatrician, who also runs a pediatric ER. The problem is that the doctor's office is 25 minutes drive away with zero traffic. We're at the arse end of a rush hour. 7:15ish p.m., we get to the pediatric ER, and they immediately take me into the back to see what's wrong. Turns out, I have an acute appendicitis, and it's close to bursting, so they need to send me over to the hospital 1 mile from my house to get it removed. The entire time, my entitled mother is murmuring about needing to get ready for a trail the next day. She's a divorce lawyer, and how I'll probably be fine and just need to sleep it off. Then there comes a moment when entitled mother is out of the room, but I have a doctor and a nurse in the room alone with me. I tell them the whole story about how I've been trying to get her to take me to the ER since 4, how we lived only a mile from the hospital they wanted to send me to, but my entitled mother decided to go here because she hates big hospitals. The doctor didn't really believe me until I told him to MapQuest my address relative to the hospital. I managed to convince them to call for an ambulance to transport me to the hospital to make sure I got there. After my surgery, the nurse told me that my appendix burst as they began the surgery, so they had to be quick. To this day, I still tease PT every time I see him by grabbing my side and saying I think I have a muscle cramp. I've never heard him use those words together since. Alright, that's where I think I'm going to end today's episode, guys. As always, I really do hope you learned something or just really enjoyed the posts that were put up today. Quick shout out to all my new and existing Patreon and channel members. You should be able to see your name on screen right now, and if you don't, then I don't think you're part of the club, and you really should join the club because it's a great club. And I want to thank every single one of you guys for supporting me in this journey. It really means so much to me, and I love you all so much for it. Thank you for helping me out. As you can tell, I'm now happy and healthy back in Australia. Thank God it's not cold like Ireland. I don't like wearing jumpers everywhere. I prefer the heat. Thank you very much. I know that's an unpopular opinion. Anyway, guys, I really do hope you enjoyed today's episode. I'll see you in the next one. Have a good day, night, sleep, whatever you're up to, and I'll see you later. Bye.